I love how he says too much pee-pee.
Welcome, listeners, to another bi-weekly episode of School for Gifted Youngsters. Releasing bi-weekly right now, even though 3 issues are coming out per week, which is enough just because I have too much to do in my PhD program. I am joined by Marius.
Hello.
And Ian.
Howdy, Homo sapiens, Homo superiors, and homos in general. Waka waka.
So we've got 6 episodes in the last 2 weeks to talk about today, ranging from Hellions 9 up to X Factor 18. A few of them are King and Black issues, and the rest kind of go all over the place.
X-Men, nothing if not all over the place.
But there is
That's true.
There's some forward movement in these issues with like plot lines, and I'm happy about that. Starting from the earliest issue in the timeline, it was Hellions 9, which, as promised by the cover that was forecasted, is an issue in which Arcade enters the scenario along with some other characters, and it delivers us some resolution about Orphan Maker.
Yeah, he's back in action at least, and his dynamic with Nanny is creepier than ever. Our cover this issue features a leering creeper in a Dracula cape, although on Krakoa that could be anybody. Opening up, we discover that the creeper in question is the original Mastermind, who appears to be our antagonist for this piece. And, since Sinister's done and gone, let himself get kidnapped because he got too comfortable and forgot that the original Mastermind remains one of the worst people the X-Men have ever met.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him portrayed this way. I feel like there's been like less dastardly portrayals of Mastermind at times, or maybe it's just that Lady Mastermind sort of makes me think of the pair of them as less evil than he was back in Dark Phoenix. But this is Mastermind as I remember him from Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, we have not one but 2.5 younger, sexier versions of Mastermind. One tends to forget poor Jason, our Mastermind classic, being, a middle-aged weirdo in a brown potato sack. Not Jack Kirby's best design.
No, but in terms of concept, like as like a consummate, someone with some psychic-ish powers who uses them for pretty much one thing and one thing alone, which is to like create psychosexual fantasies for himself to play out, right? And that, like, I always liked it without thinking much about it. Reading Dark Phoenix, I liked it as a kind of like a biting allegory for the author themselves, right? These authors filling the pages of their books with like heroes with whom they identify, and like scantily clad women who they would want to get with, and then like making it all into a little adventure that they enjoy, right? It's a nice kind of questioning attitude toward that process.
For sure, I guess I never saw it that way, but it for sure can be read as like meta commentary, especially with the Dark Phoenix saga, where we have this pirate duel between him and Scott, I believe.
Yeah,
and it's like it's like, as you put it, it's like a pretty good allegory for that in that way, as in like putting people into these fantastical scenarios, all in some like grand, as you said, like psychosexual adventure.
Yeah. Those who are fans of the character Barclay on Star Trek Next Generation might find some similarity there, but I won't delve further.
I mean, a lot of our top tier X-women have long, ugly histories of brainwashing, mental manipulation, and having their bodies controlled by alien personalities.
Right.
Claremont and Byrne were into some dark shit in the 80s.
Right. And this one so far is free of anything as triggering, let's say, as that. Who knows if that'll come to pass? But for now, it's just. For now, it's
At
just.
one point, Mastermind does say, "You could be strapped to a plank in my basement. You don't know."
That's right.
And it's true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's sort of filling in the younger readers on like what they should expect from Mastermind.
Yeah, for sure.
He's awful. That's what you should expect.
I
Yeah.
thought that whole scene was well executed because it's sort of like, like all this like gaslighting in terms of like you could have just, dreamed your entire lives. Maybe you don't even exist. Maybe this and that in the book didn't happen. It's interesting because it has a distressing effect, of course, on the characters, but also, for a second there, we as readers, we wonder like, holy shit, like how long has he been involved here,
I don't think that long. I think,
Yeah,
he's
me
been
neither,
there.
but it's like in that moment, I feel like it has the effect it was going for.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know for how long he'll be involved. I hope this arc lasts a little bit longer than some of the previous arcs in Hellions have. And I kind of hope Mr. Sinister's out of commission longer, because otherwise we just kind of get this same cycle where he does bad shit and gets away with it over and over. It'd be nice to see a bit of a change.
Can't keep
there.
getting away with it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. What's that? What's that?
Oh,
reference?
that's Breaking Bad season 5.
Oh, that's why I don't know it. That's why I don't know.
Oh,
it.
you never seen Breaking Bad? Holy shit.
Like the first half season, maybe it was a
Gotcha.
real point of contention with an old friend of mine that he watched all of Babylon 5 with me, and then he wanted to watch Breaking Bad, and I wasn't into it.
No, I get that.
But,
I stopped watching after like the first half of season 1, like a couple of years ago, and then I got myself to watch the rest of it, and it's really good.
In TV news, though, listeners should be made aware that there's a new high def retouch of Babylon 5 that's available on HBO Max. And the special effects ain't been improved much because they were CGI early on. They can't make them look as nice as models, but the screen quality's better, and I heartily recommend it. The best show ever made. But in other TV news, there's something going on that our two other contributors here want to talk to y'all about.
That's right. We're going to be touching on WandaVision. It's quite the show. We don't have to get too much into it, but there's one plot twist and spoiler warning for everything in WandaVision.
Spoilers.
I guess I guess just all of it. Spoiler warning for all of it. If you haven't seen it, do it. It's not that long actually. It's like it's sitcom length episodes, so it's pretty easy to just catch up on. But in episode
6 of which are out so far. They just dropped the 90s themed Halloween spooktacular.
I really liked episode 6 though, but what we wanted to touch on was a plot twist from episode 5 in which, Pietro enters the picture, but it's not Pietro from the MCU, but it instead
it's the other guy.
It's the Evan
our Fox
Peters
X-Men.
version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is our Fox X-Men Quicksilver. As Kat Dennings immediately reacts, she recast Pietro.
So is this? It was like the very end of episode 5. Is that right?
Yeah,
what I
that's
heard.
the big cliffhanger.
The cliffhanger.
And then do they explain some of it in episode 6?
They don't. It's left open more or less to interpretation.
It's discussed. It's played with. We get plenty of Pietro, hanging out with Wanda, playing with his nephews.
It's still pretty unclear as to like how exactly the powers work here. So that's interesting, but it's left open
Wanda.
to
Her powers never make
interpretation
sense,
whether this is just like this is supposed to be just like a quote unquote recast, like in like a meta narrative way, playing with the idea that like in all the sitcoms you will get these like unannounced recasts of core characters. I know there was one on Roseanne. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think in like I Dream of Jeannie, the main like parody source for this show, I think the actor playing the husband changed partway through, didn't they? Or was that
Yeah, that's
Bewitched?
possible.
Bewitched
Yeah.
had two Darrens.
Bewitched,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess like it could be just like a play on that in like a meta narrative sort of way, but it could also be, of course, like the uh, introduction of X-Men. I guess what you call it, the X-Men cinematic universe, of X-Men movie characters into the Marvel cinematic universe. And that, of course, would open the door to a lot of like speculation of like, wow, like how are they going to be dealing with mutants now? Because, of course, like Evan Peters' version of the character is a mutant, whereas, as far as we know, the MCU version of Quicksilver wasn't.
Right.
But it's also alluded to in the show that Quicksilver might have just been like resurrected from the dead in like a very similar way to how Vision was. But look, the reason I don't think that it's just gonna be like played for laughs is that we know that Wanda is gonna be involved to some extent with how the multiverse is gonna work in the MCU, because she will be in the second Doctor Strange movie, which is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I believe.
Right.
To be directed by the Evil Dead Sam Raimi.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
delightful.
It'll be great, I think. But so, like, it's probably going to be something around those lines. And then, of course, you can bring back as many characters as you want. Actually, Patrick Stewart was talking to Kevin Feige about his possible return, but he didn't want to do it, so...
I wouldn't if I was him, and I wouldn't if I was them, because he's too old now. He can still act, but him and Ian McKellen are going to become incapable of acting any day now, sad as it is to say. Like, they need to cast someone who can stick around for a lot of movies. That's
my bet is on Fassbender making a cameo in WandaVision.
Sure.
I could be wrong about this. I could be very wrong, but I wouldn't be saying this if not for the Evan Peters cameo. Or not cameo, I guess. Now he's just one of the...
He's cast now.
He's cast. Absolutely, yeah.
Did you all see...
sorry.
Though I haven't watched any of WandaVision yet, did y'all see the image or the video that people are sharing that's from like an old interview from when Dark Phoenix came out? And it's like the actors playing Scott, Pietro, and Aurora all being asked by an interviewer if now that Marvel is buying 20th Century Fox, or Disney is buying 20th Century Fox, around that time, do you all foresee yourselves being in MCU movies going forward? And like the actor playing Scott has all this stuff to say about how great that would be, and then Aurora, the actress playing Aurora, is sort of nodding along and agreeing, and the actor playing Pietro is like looking off to the side awkwardly, like he knows he's not allowed to respond to this question.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's for how long they've been planning that.
It looks like it.
It could be. I mean, that's speculation. I remember the actress playing Aurora being like, no, they are absolutely not going to recast, and they are absolutely just going to keep us around in some way. And, like, that was probably right before anything official was announced. That might have actually been before the merger was officially through. But, all of that stuff is speculative. But I just think it's interesting that we're even getting to the point where mutants in the MCU are like a very realistic possibility, and then playing with that. I mean, we're probably still like half a decade away from like an MCU X-Men film, and you can debate whether that is a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like after Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, we can take a break with the X-Men films.
It's cool.
Yeah.
The comics are actually good again, so we're covered.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. Another thing I should be bringing up about WandaVision is in episode 6, Wanda's kids actually get their powers, as we got into off air before.
And costumes.
And costumes, too.
We see Little Wicked and Speed.
And it's so much fun because this episode is sort of like it's very inspired by Malcolm in the Middle, which is one of my favorite shows growing up, because now we're actually getting to the shows that I used to grow up with, being that I'm one of the I'm the youngest participant on this podcast for sure, but probably also one of the younger watchers of WandaVision. And this is now we're in like the early 2000s, and it's done in this very like like for those of you who've seen Malcolm in the Middle, Tommy and Billy, the children of Wanda, are sort of like Malcolm and Reese, and Evan Peters' Quicksilver is sort of like the older brother, cool guy, even though he's their uncle, but like the cool guy Francis character. So that was interesting. But we have Speed, who's officially a speedster. We have Billy, who's officially implied to have Wanda's like magic abilities. And that's interesting, of course, because Speed is in one of the comics we want to talk about today, which is X Factor 7.
It is, and we should move right on to that comic next, except there's one final question that I have about Hellions, which is that in the last panel, Mastermind is shown to be in some kind of villain team with Arcade and with somebody else. I don't know who that is who's standing there with them in between the imprisoned Mr. Sinister and Arcade.
I'm
Do y'all
not
recognize?
sure.
Could be lots
It's not
of people.
Celine, right?
Maybe.
Oh, it's Miss Locke. It's Arcade's long-time henchwoman, Miss Locke.
Okay.
The issue is that he actually accidentally murdered her back in the 90s. So every Miss Locke that we've since seen is an android that he keeps around to distract him from this fact.
That's nice and creepy. That's great. Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to mention about this. I thought the wild child incel moment was kind of weird.
Yeah, how he like can't find a mate or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just came out of nothing for me. I don't know.
I guess the vibe I get from both Wild Child and Orphan Maker now is that they are teenagers, right? Orphan Maker has grown up a little bit. He's an angsty teenager chafing against his parental unit, and Wild Child has a little more complexity and some like, things he wants, frustration about them, at least he's more like there's not just the one dimension of like snarling and then calming down and then snarling.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I read it too.
But so X Factor, one of our favorite lines. I think this was a good issue of X Factor. Unlike some of the comics, it's not like stalling between developments. It's getting right on with this whole Morrigan plot line that we talked about.
Yeah. Darkness falls as the saga of the Siren continues, although we start off by putting the bone in Boneyard as Speed shows up.
Yeah. Speed, so just like in the last couple issues, we're getting more development for Speed's former lover, still lover, and Prodigy, and I like that here. His conversations with Speed.
Yeah, puts a wrinkle in the mystery of Prodigy's previous death.
It does, yeah.
And
I got really angry at myself about this because in one of the first panels it says that he died when the 1NE was attacking him and the other new X-Men characters. And I was like, no, there's no way that can be true, right? So I was just like clicking through the Marvel Wikia for like 15 minutes trying to find where he originally died, just to see that like in the next panel he admits that it was just a lie towards Speed. I should have just continued reading,
But we still don't know what actually happened. That's sort of the
No, we don't really.
Yeah.
I thought this like info page where we see it's not really an info page, it's a note by Elixir on the like resurrection protocol thing for Prodigy. It's so distressing because it's clearly like why are we shown this? It says that Elixir wasn't able to like 100% find a body for Prodigy, but he was just assuming that, since Scott and Logan were confirming a bunch of these other deaths, that, his death was basically confirmed as well. So what I'm getting from this is, there's another Prodigy running around somewhere. And
potentially
the implications of that. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I was kind of hoping that would be, the cliffhanger for this issue, because like, holy shit, like doing that sort of distressing stuff with the resurrection protocol, that's what I love most about X Factor.
Yeah. Something I'm starting to like about X Factor more and more is Dakin's and Aurora's interactions.
Oh yeah.
I
That's good. Yeah.
I really like Dakin's speech. It's not him alone. It's also Aurora saying some of this about what it's like to like pheromonally detect that a room full of people are attracted to you, but not be able to like understand any more than that, really. Because I think it's like a good kind of representation of just what it's like to be attractive. As little as I know about that, you know what I mean? Like it's like that kind of like the like potential trap. It's often very easy to tell that as a hot person that you're hot and that everyone in a room knows it, but you can't. But like you know what that leads them to want to do, whether they have good intentions or bad, is still undetectable. I thought that was a nice
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
supernatural
So
version
beautiful.
of a real life
It's a curse.
situation. Yeah.
What I also got out of it was, yeah, it again kind of addresses the fact that Aurora, she's a high tier mutant superheroine who's been around for a while, so she's seen her share of the creepy mindfucky shit that we were just talking about in Hellions.
Right.
As such, yeah, dating someone with pheromone powers would probably be
Comforting.
problematic for her.
Yeah, but she doesn't seem. I mean, she's aware of that, but she also seems very like sure about like what his powers mean, or she becomes sure. She seems. I like her kind of solidity in this issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Later on, I'm not sure if it's her or not. Eyeboy and her, I think, are walking around doing investigations, and whoever that was next to Eyeboy, the costume was awesome, with the like tall collar and the hair bun. I think it was her.
Wait, what scene was that in?
Like latter half of the issue, they split up to do different investigations, and Eyeboy is going around with one other person. I recognized everyone involved in the different.
Oh yeah. He partners off with Aurora, and yeah, I guess we haven't had much opportunity to see Aurora as an agent of X Factor. Normally, she's just watching TV and PJs.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's true.
And of course, the issue's climax is that Dakin is nearly killed by Morrigan, who doesn't know enough to know that he will recover from pretty much almost any way to kill him. There's one way to kill him that we'll probably talk about when we ever get around to doing Uncanny X-Force. But but and then North Star saves him.
X Factor is an actual competent X team, so Eyeboy and Rachel notice Siren/Morrigan's whammy on Polaris, so North Star can rescue Dakin in time. Hooray for the good guys.
Yeah, it is good. It's a good, uplifting ending.
Yeah, well, almost. Because after what seems to be our happy ending with Akihiro and Jean-Marie in the previously alluded hot springs, we fast forward a few hours to find that things have taken a turn.
Right.
X Factor. Expect the unexpected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
that really threw me off. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the next issue is going to be a little bit sort of Die Hard like, with some of the less powerful characters sneaking around their own base trying to defeat or fend off Morrigan and then getting their other teammates resurrected. I'm into that.
Yep, got themselves a new HQ and it's already haunted.
Yeah.
Guess that's what happens when you give the gays a team headquarters with a bathhouse.
Yeah. Everyone gets distracted in the bathhouse.
I have a very quick question about Aurora, since we were on the topic of her. I've done some reading up on her, and she is, in the history of the character, she was portrayed as having dissociative identity disorder, right?
Right.
Yes.
So what's like the current continuity on that?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
All right, no, we'll do some
That's the thing,
research.
'cause,
We'll do some
yeah,
research later.
because the last time I remember her showing up is when she was, God, yeah, and this is going to be like 15 years ago, when she was bamboozled by the Children of the Vault.
Yeah.
Back in Carrie's run. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what her current situation there is, because she's been through various permutations with her mental
Right.
health and with her powers, and whether or not she's technically still a mutant. I feel like this run has shown us, no, at this point, she is a mutant with the same powers as North Star as originally conceived,
Yeah,
which
that's what it
I
seems
think
like.
I think hadn't technically been the case since like the second year of Alpha Flight, like 1984, 85 or so.
Yeah, if listeners, if you want to hear more about that Mike Carey run, we have an extra credit on it, extra credit Children of the Vault.
We do.
Now's the time to go listen to it, because pretty soon the vault will be opening.
Clink.
And we should move on to my least favorite issue by far of these
Oh,
six,
God.
which is King in Black X-Force #1.
King in Black Marauders, which I guess it's our first non-X-Men titled, X-Men branded tie-in, one-shot, offshoot thing. So I guess the good
It seems
news
so.
there is that they think that Marauders is popular enough that, it will sell specials, which admittedly, with this great Douterman cover of our crew, who it feels like it's been forever since we saw in action as our crew. Yeah, this was.
Yeah, I mean,
this
it
was an
was
exciting one conceptually going in.
It was certainly something. I mean, look, I agree with you that it was nice to see the team in action together, but like when I started reading that issue, I thought it was going to be like a more in-depth exploration of Bishop, which I welcomed, because I feel like he's not really getting the spotlight that he deserves on this book.
True. Technically he's a captain of Krakoa.
Yeah.
In the one book where he's regularly appearing, he's like maybe third in command.
Yeah, it feels like he should be doing
whether
more.
Or not Kate's dead.
It's just, yeah, I feel like he's underexplored, and the rest of the issue doesn't seem like it's going anywhere.
No, it's not. I don't think there will be a King in Black Marauders #2. And
no,
and
it's
also,
a one shot. It's a one shot.
Yeah, and it was also supposed to be about them saving Scott and somebody else, Storm, I think, from being Venom symbioted.
Strike and Storm done got themselves venomized.
But they don't do that either. They don't even come close to doing that.
No. They get us all excited, give us a sky full of latex fetish dragons, and I guess they do fight. They fight some space dragons. Some space dragons are fought.
Yeah.
And then we have a very special episode about how human trafficking is bad, which, obviously I'm down with, but at the same time, there wasn't as much fun or weirdness in this one as I normally associate with Marauders, and what has made Marauders one of the most consistently entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really do anything with it, and it's just not that great a one shot, especially not when we consider that it's supposed to be a King in Black tie-in, but this issue really truly doesn't really need to have anything to do with King in Black. It could be just like just like a random filler issue. And I was also confused by the ending, which is very Magneto centered.
Yeah, I didn't. Magneto was fine in this issue, I think, but his very first appearance, I think, behind Emma, I did not like the way he was depicted. It was very much like, there's that villain Magneto again, and then
Yeah,
suddenly
for
in
sure.
the
Bum, bum,
in the
bum.
next panel he gets back to like himself as we know him now. And I like that they're referencing Island M. That's cool. I like the Island M saga in original New Mutants, but I had thought that Island M was not in the middle of the Atlantic. I guess that's a minor quibble. Maybe it was. But one thing that I know ain't right is that they send a bunch of humans. They send a bunch of humans through the gate. Like that's not supposed to be possible. That's why
Wait, is it not?
well, that's why our main character
There-
in Marauders, Kate Pride, couldn't use them, isn't it?
we've seen, actually, I think right out of the gate.
Wait.
I think we see no, because we see back in it's like straight up House of X issue 1 that Magneto is taking his delegation through gates and showing
and
them
also
around the new world.
Scott's
Right.
dad
Noah.
has a gate that he can access anytime. It's just about permission, and for some reason it just didn't
Yeah,
work with
clearance.
Kate. I don't
Okay.
even remember why, but
That makes
Whatever.
more sense. That makes more sense.
I guess you can't send him through a gate without permission is what it comes
Yeah.
down to, and then that would be telepathically communicated with Krakoa.
For sure, yeah. Okay, that establishes that.
But yeah, I mean it's a weird issue for sure. And I don't think we have to say much more about it, right? That's just
Yeah,
not
we could,
much to talk about.
No.
We get a bonus issue of Marauders that shows us these characters. I think the cover is great. It was really great, seeing Kate in action with Iceman and Pyro and Bishop, and remembering that all of these characters are technically part of a team in this title.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time they actually, were
Teamed up, yeah.
part. Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
out there fighting the good fight.
There's some good action, some good use of Iceman's powers, I think. But the next issue was a much better King in Black issue, I think. S.W.O.R.D number 3. I liked that quite a bit. What did you all think?
I don't think I liked it as much as the other issues so far, but it was for sure one of the better issues from this batch of issues. We get some updates on the Orcus protocol, which we were really looking forward to. After Hoxpox, this has been like a pretty distressing thing to learn about, that there's
Orcus surprise.
still this like huge looming threat, and now we're finally like getting some more info on that, so that was fun. Also, I really like the description of this character's power. I keep forgetting the character's name because
Manifold.
Manifold, Eden Fessy.
That's right.
Yeah, there's
First appeared back in Hickman's Secret Warriors.
yeah, a version of Gateway who can talk. I'm glad of that. But also, as we see here, one who has more powers than Gateway does, related but more. I especially liked just a little note in one of the info pages that Manifold is Earth 616's version of something, right? And that kind of promises some fun multiversal stuff down the road in addition to the space
do we
stuff.
have a Manifold core to look forward to, or are they like Australia's equivalent?
Right. Yeah, like people who have it indicates first of all that he can use his powers to jump realities, and that other people with similar powers can in other realities, and that S.W.O.R.D will not just be about space, but also sort of intersect with the whole otherworld theme of multiversal possibilities.
Yeah, there will, however, be more random-ass Marvel aliens, as the previous 2 issues have just randomly dropped in Snark War as something that was going on. And, here we visit with the Snarks, who, for those who were previously ignorant, are more aliens from Louise Simonson's 80s Power Pack, joining the Chimelian horse furry folks who showed up in the last X-Men.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I was pleased with this world building. The Snarks are goofy, of course, but just the kind of like
They're from Power Pack.
as a as a as like an attempt to resolve this situation in which Null is conquering Earth. I found this to be quite a fleshed out attempt, even if it didn't work. Whereas like something
Yeah, I mean,
much more shallow could have been attempted.
it was pretty fleshed out world building, but I'm not quite sure what to feel about the scene because it it feels kind of pointless. Like we do know that if we're gonna read King in Black, even though I've only skimmed through issues, it's not gonna be like the sword people are gonna fix it. It's gonna have something to do with like Eddie Brock and his son. So it's like I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of devoting like a big portion of this issue to that, unless it's setting up something else, which it does seem to be doing. Like there's a cliffhanger ending with the I guess would you call him a warlord being murdered right after Eden leaves.
Yeah, it could matter a little bit. Yeah. I mean,
Snark War continues.
yeah. Maybe we'll see a little more of the Snarks. I wouldn't mind that. There's also a cliffhanger ending of the issue with Manifold discovering that Null himself, I don't know, has like taken over the sword station. Do I have that right?
No, it's
I'm not
Are
quite
we-
sure. Is it supposed to be Null or is it supposed to be Cable in symbiote form?
yeah, because he swings by the Alpha Flight orbital, and we get our bombshell about Gyric, Alpha Flight, and Orcus. And then it's back to the peak.
Right.
We check in with Brand, who remains pressed for fucks to give. And then it's down to Krakoa, where it's venomized Cable, who's been venomizing everyone on Krakoa, right? Like the entire away team plus anybody else he could get his hands on.
I see. Okay, that makes more sense. I thought that was supposed to be Null, but yeah, that makes a little more sense that it's not Null himself.
I guess
And
in
our
principle,
red shirts are covered
I don't
in
have
goo.
a problem with like single issues being more focused on some of these more obscure characters and us learning a bit more about them as people and their powers and including also a lot of interesting world building, which what this issue for sure did. I guess I just miss the rest of the team. And now I'm not as convinced as I was around last issue that this book is really benefiting from the whole King and Black tie-in stuff.
No, I don't think it is. And I mean, to see that the next issue has Venom Symbiote Cable on the cover, it does not make me excited to read it. But
yeah, me neither.
I can have faith that after the King and Black is finally over, they'll get back to the question of what that tetrahedron was that they got from a star or whatever. That's what I want to see.
I guess it would have been nice to have just like one very good opening arc to this book, but that's what it is with these tie-ins. Again, my favorite examples of this is like the first few issues of that first Sam Captain America book around I want to say 2013 or 14. Yeah, 2014, I guess, which was a tie-in to Rick Remender's Axis, which I'm not the biggest fan of, even though I love Rick Remender usually. But anyway, so I guess like with this book, we just have to wait and see. I can tell that Nolan is very displeased with the whole King and Black stuff, and I'm starting to understand that for sure.
It just, I mean, as you say, like we know how it's going to end, right? There may be some like changes to the Marvel universe as a result. It makes me wonder, like, has the Phoenix tournament saga ended, or is that still also going on at the same time? Like, what's the deal with that?
No, I mean it's still from what I understand, it's still going on in the like solo event, or not solo, I guess, but the mainline Avengers book. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if how continuity wise those two interact. There's probably a lot of ambiguity in that.
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, if it ends with one of them using the Phoenix to defeat Null, that's fine with me, but...
No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, I guess
King in
at some
Black.
point
We don't know.
I do want to read the King in Black book at some point because I liked what I read of what's his name? Come on, Donny Cates, is that his name?
Yeah.
That sounds correct.
I liked what I read from the beginning of his Venom run. There's a great meme on Twitter about how, like, I don't know if it was the artist on that book or someone started like a running gag about how that book was going to be better than Watchmen. And then at some point, Donny Cates got like a selfie with Alan Moore where that was referenced. It was kind of funny.
I mean, I don't think it could have been better than Watchmen, but who knows?
I
haven't read it.
I think he's very aware that
Hey.
that's not gonna happen.
Right. But I did like that issue, and I think the other two from this week were good as well. They're not King in Black issues, thankfully. And the next one that came out was X-47, which what I liked about it was a very Venture Brothers vibe. I wonder if you felt that way as well, Ian.
Yeah, because we do open with a very Ventures Brothers style barrage of grisly Quentin deaths,
Right.
some of which quite imaginative. Although, at this point, I kind of feel bad seeing poor Quentin killed off left, right, and center in this book.
Yeah, it's a look backwards, though. It's a look backwards at what things were like.
I'd say this is just to get it out of your system, Percy. Right? This is it. But then he kills him off again. A couple of pages later.
That's true. That's true.
But it does set up a pretty intriguing like mystery that's not fully resolved from what I can tell. So that does make me pretty interested in how that's gonna play out.
And it takes us back to the Russia plotline, though Mikhail, of course, does not appear, but it at least gets things moving forward again, I felt.
Yeah. And I'm happy about every X-Files issue that isn't just, Beast being a sociopath.
Beast wasn't even in this one. So,
all these like different panels of some like bio mutation running wild. And Quentin is a fine character. He's depending on how he's written, he can be a cool character, a great character even. And I thought he was handled well in this issue, with us exploring some of his deepest insecurities. I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of his new outfit though, but
hell no. No, it's like, oh god,
it's very Tron.
Jumbo Carnation. Who? Yeah, I'm not sold on Jumbo Carnation, actually. Maybe I just don't get what he's supposed to be going for. But for those new outfits that we've seen, it's funny that, those characters in comics who are supposed to be like fashion designers are inevitably the characters who seem to come up with the most heinous costumes. see also Janet Van Dyne in Avengers. But I kind of hate it. I kind of think that it looks dated and doesn't really read Quentin the way that his selection of dumb Hot Topic clothes and novelty tees have.
I love the costume that's just, like him having his dick out in the open.
the Glob costume, he was like Glob Herman in that panel.
Oh,
yeah,
that's what it was referencing. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love how he says too much pee-pee. That's my kind of humor.
If you all, for the most online of our listeners, if you look at Quentin's new pink glasses and picture Jenny Jardin, as she calls herself on Twitter, that'll help you to feel revulsion about them.
Wait, who?
Just like a truly awful Twitter personality, someone who just absolutely sucks.
I should look into that. I love
and the psychic hipster glasses are actually the best part of the redesign. It's everything from the neck down I can't stand.
Yeah, just skin tight spandex. We'll see if it sticks around. I mean, to me, it's just not too important about the costume. Yeah.
I like this issue of X-Files though. It was fine.
I would definitely call this a better than average-ish. I will say that this book still seems to have taken for granted that it will have time to tell a whole story later.
Yeah.
So let me help it out. 4 to 6 months in advance spoilers. The Russia Xeno Alliance has bootleg X-Force clones.
Yeah.
Did I blow any minds?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, that's fully to be expected.
Oh God.
Maybe it has another copy of Prodigy also. That would at least be some kind of tie-in with another.
That'd be
comic.
interesting.
Yeah, maybe
That'd be a
he's been
crossover.
hanging out in Russia this whole time. Yeah.
The last issue to come out in the last 2 weeks was Excalibur 18, pleasantly continuing developments, staying focused, and dealing some more with the long-term arcs of Krakoan society that we've come to expect from Excalibur. What do y'all think?
I think that right now this title is about as good as it's ever been. I feel like the book up to X of Swords was very much building up to the crossover where a lot of this title's world was central. And now that we're coming out of it with the uniting plot thread of what the hell happened to Betsy, I've been consistently enjoying Excalibur these past couple of issues, and this one was no exception. We actually check in on a couple of dangling plot threads.
We do, and I like the way they split up. It adds a little bit of focus to Gambit and Rogue, which has been lacking, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly. Yeah, so the search for Betsy continues, except Betsy is back, maybe? She's kind of taking some quiet time to herself and staring broodingly out to sea in a filmy gown like something out of a pre-Raphaelite painting or Kate Bush music video.
I do want to know what's going on with Betty. That part I thought was intriguing.
Yeah, I think Captain Avalon sums it up well when he shows up, which is he knows his sister and this isn't like her. And then he and Rogue discuss the fact, basically, that you, the reader, also know this character. She's to brood like this is not her style, right? And that's when you can start to wonder, well, this doesn't seem like the Queen of, Queen Elizabeth II either, or third, Queen Elizabeth III. So who is this? Like, how did this come about?
Yeah, and I guess more importantly, where is 616 Betsy? Because we know she's still alive and she's making her way through the multiverse. But if this isn't her, then where is she, right?
Well, what we do get some kind of hint of from Jamie Braddock is that what this might be is like a kind of body that he had made. We're not exactly sure how or why.
Yeah. There is that clone that he bought off of his X of Swords crossover crush, Sinister.
Yes.
Oh,
just
right.
just in case. Just in case.
And maybe
I'd forgotten that.
Except it's not in the Iron Maiden where he put it, and it's not on the table next to Morgan Le Fay, who is where Apocalypse left her back in what issue was that? In the first handful of issues, we take out Morgan, and we've just been keeping her on a table this whole time.
Yeah,
right.
It was like a year ago. Hopefully she's in some kind of stasis rather than just being driven insane lying there.
It's left open-ended.
Yeah.
The book ends with a cliffhanger where we see Psylocke showing up, and that would be Quanon Psylocke, right?
Yes. Technically new Psylocke, who looks like who you think of when you think Psylocke, and who you can tell awesome ninja stories with less problematically.
Yes.
That's true.
It does. It ends with something else, too, that I found really intriguing, which is this kind of insistence by Richter that they delve further into the magical materials that Apocalypse left behind, which reveals a kind of, something pretty straightforward, which is just what we already know, that Apocalypse regarded Richter as his air in some sense, but also this kind of indication on the very last info page that like Richter and Cypher together and maybe some other characters can form another like meta-mutative unit of combined powers. Did y'all get that
Yeah.
impression?
I
like
did,
that.
and
Yeah.
I really like the idea that they are expanding on that. To some extent, we've seen it in S.W.O.R.D before, where we don't only have the 5 anymore. We also have what was it, the 6, the whatevers. It's just the idea that mutants combining their abilities to create something that was before that, kind of unseen before, unthinkable. We've seen it before, obviously, with the. Is it the externals or the eternals? I keep getting them mixed up. Externals, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen that before, but I like whenever they expand on that idea, especially because, since this book is so magic centered, I really do like that Richter's like, all right, the next generation is going to believe in magic and is going to see all these new possibilities. I also think that, again, like Excalibur isn't my favorite book, but this scene I really like because I feel like it got to the queer analogy more
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
in terms of
Especially.
mutantdom and its possibilities for future generations.
Yeah, coming from Richter, who is a queer character and definitely a proud Krakoan mutant nationalist. There's also some talk about not just a Krakoan national culture, but it does seem to stand in as an analog for creating a queer culture, which is it's a metaphor that was difficult for this reader to overlook.
Yeah. I one of the possibilities that it leads me to hope for is a more prominent role for Cypher. To me, like magic really comes down to like reading dead languages and like reciting them, right? And so that's like a perfect role for Cypher in a way.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Cypher's powers merge with some of the other characters in some exciting way. I don't know how exactly it would be done, but since this is being set up, I feel like we're going to see more of that in the future, even in other titles that aren't Excalibur and that aren't, as heavily magic focused. Because, of course, like the idea of creatively combining, and now we're getting to choose between basically every mutant character that has ever existed.
Right.
It's just very exciting.
Yeah, it holds promise. I mean, I could see the 3, and that's like Richter, Cypher, and Krakoa, or I could see other possibilities as well.
Right.
In terms of where things could go within this book and its like main plot, I'm sure Betsy will be saved eventually, and if this Betsy is just like a kind of like a half Betsy, like a unawakened clone,
Pseudo Betsy.
Yeah, like it has her
Bizarro Betsy.
It like has her memories, I guess, because I don't know, those are like hardwired into her brain, but it doesn't have them very much. That makes sense to me, I guess. But it is sort of stalling.
Yeah, for sure.
Except that why is she psycho? Why is she acting creepy and attacking people? Just because she's a so-so clone doesn't necessarily mean that she has to be violent. Look at Rockslide. Rockslide is a terrible clone.
That's true.
But he's just kind of chilling.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be the simple comics habit of like whenever some characters need to have a capital C conversation, that also needs to be like a fight, and then after they do some like visually eye popping stuff, then they can actually do the talking, or they even just do it while they're fighting.
That's very possible, and I want to see them both talk and fight, because one of the most intriguing aspects of Fallen Angels, a book that Eden didn't like, is that I really liked Psylocke's inner like monologues about her complicated relationship to Betsy. So whenever I see the two of them on panel, like we did in last issue of Excalibur, which I did enjoy, that's just intriguing stuff to me because these two characters have such a convoluted history together, would have such complicated emotions about each other. I mean, Betsy does feel very sorry for Quanon, I do think.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and Quanon still needs more development for sure, more fleshing out.
Yeah.
So they need to make that happen in any way they can. Hopefully, it'll be done well here.
I was just thinking of something else I was gonna bring up. First off, do I have anything to add on Excalibur?
No.
Because I just thought of something when we were talking about X-Force. I did think of one thing we didn't talk about in King in Black, which is the Beast cameo in the Marauders issue. What did we make of that?
Oh, gross.
What was it? Remind me what happened with it.
It's a flashback.
We get a flashback
between Beast and
where
Bishop.
Beast. Yeah,
Oh.
Beast basically sends Bishop on a secret hit, like low key. If you can't save Psyche and Storm, maybe just kill them. Which
I remember that. That was stupid. I think. Like, well, sure, just kill him. Why not? Like, they'll just come back. Like, that's the whole like. That should be a perfectly normal way to resolve this situation, not some
Right,
secret
for sure.
dastardly one.
I guess like I don't necessarily disagree with that too much. It's just the way it's being framed. It's certainly like it's behind people's backs, and Beast is being very insensitive about it. And it's also I'm sort of unsure right now as to where that is happening continuity wise, because we've seen that parts of Krakoa during the King in Black stuff in S.W.O.R.D, we saw that parts of Krakoa were compromised. And I wonder if that also is true for the resurrection protocols. So, are we supposed to think that, we can get all these characters back, no problem? Or, does the situation look a bit more dire than that?
Wasn't Mentalo packing up the 5 in his think tank last we saw?
Yeah,
that for sure happened.
That's a wrinkle.
Yeah,
that's a complication in Hank's plan.
Yeah, but it's also like it's getting so hard to track where that happened continuity-wise between these two titles, and it's just like I'm not sure about this whole scene and Beast's presentation in it, and we've talked about not liking Beast anymore before. It's barely unique to this scene, but. No, there's just something like especially grim about the way he delivers that order to Bishop.
Yeah.
And these are some of his like oldest friends. I don't know.
That's what I don't like about it, because like they decided they needed to have a grim scene with Beast, and like in order to like give substance to that, what they put in it was him saying something that isn't that grim. It should be a normal part of the strategy in any Krakoan operation, where a character has been mind controlled or taken over or something like that, right? Because like, yes, it's sad to kill them, but they are going to come back, and the sooner you just kill them, the less other people they're going to kill. So
sure,
just
like,
fucking kill them,
But depending on whether the 5 are compromised or not,
they'll be back sooner or later. The 5 will come back.
Sure, but like I'm just saying, like it's unclear to us as a reader whether Beast knows that or what he thinks about that, and when this scene exactly is taking place. And again, as you said, the framing is really grim.
Yeah.
And I feel like even if we have like the resurrection protocols, it should be like a bit more heart wrenching for Beast to just go like, all right, Bishop, you can kill some of my oldest friends,
Yeah. That was one more thing I didn't like about that issue.
Right.
So we got in our regular dose of Beast hate after all.
Yeah, we're getting tired of that dose. We want to know
Huzzah.
Where it's going.
Yeah, so until next time, school kids, Krakoa is for all mutants. Krakoa is currently also for venomized mutants, so be mindful of black goo.